So, this question, does God exist, is a very important one. But many people might think actually it is moot because, in many countries, the standard attitude of the so-called intellectuals is that they are atheists, right? I mean, they do not believe that there is such a thing as a God. At least not in the sense the traditional religion have held it to be. Albert Einstein famously said that he believed in the God, Spinoza's God, and Spinoza's God is different from the traditional images of God in religions, in which the God appeared as somebody with personality, who would observe human behavior, and you know award or punish according to the particular behavior that we undertake. And Spinoza's God is different from this kind of personal God. Spinoza's God was absolute infinity, right? So Spinoza famously asserted that intelligence doesn't have anything to do with God, because intelligence is actually finite state. At any given time, no matter how intelligent a system might be, for example, if we do have artificial general intelligence (AGI) at some time, at any given instant, the AGI would be performing some particular computation, like the calculation of the Earth's atmosphere, and the prediction of temperature in the years to come. So if it is doing that, then it is not doing anything else. So this concept of intelligence is always associated with a finite state, whereas Spinoza asserted that God is about absolute infinity. So God has nothing to do with intelligence, he asserted, and also he asserted that does not have anything to do with personality, because personality is also a finite state. At any given instance, a person with a certain characteristics would assume only a particular attitude toward things. So he or she cannot take any other different attitude. So in that sense, personality is finite. And Spinoza asserted that it has nothing to do with God. So, this idea expressed in Ethica, Spinoza's primary work, is very interesting, and it attracted Albert Einstein. So that's probably why he said he believed in Spinoza's God. But otherwise, it is one of the interesting ideas. But otherwise, I think the standard attitude towards God among intellectuals in the world today is that they are atheists. And that is fine. I mean, I'm a scientist too, and I do believe that the order of the universe can be described in terms of some physical laws, although we do not have a complete description of the universe yet. We might gradually inch toward a ultimate model of the universe. So that is quite marvelous. And as Richard Dawkins famously pointed out in his wonderful book, God Delusion, we do not need religious frameworks to explain why we have a certain set of ethical standards. So Dawkins asserted that the origin of human ethics can be explained in terms of evolutionary biology. For example, our altruism, the fact that we care for each other, can be explained purely in terms of evolution. And we do not actually need auxiliary principles like religion. So we are good people, not because there's some commandment from God which we follow. We are good people if we are, because evolution has made us so. So this is a wonderful idea, and I really think that Richard Dawkins did a great service to the human species by pointing out this really a fundamental realization that evolution can actually explain many things about us. So I do, agree with this basic, standpoint of the intellectuals that we do not actually need a concept of God to explain many things in the universe. Having said that, I do have some of the reservations because, there are still some things amiss. And scientific explanation can not provide a fully satisfiable Weltanschauung worldview. For example, why does time pass? You know, there's this present, but this present would become the past, and there's this future, but the future would, soon become a present. So time flows, and time it never stops. So, as McTaggart famously pointed out in his paper in the journal Mind, the unreality of time is so apparent, and no physical laws, no matter whether you use superstring theory or supermembrane theory or whatnot, you cannot explain this fundamental enigma of time. And and as we understand the universe more, the sheer complexity and depth of the universe really astonishes us. For example, the so-called dark energy and dark matter. Who ordered these? Of course, Newton came up with this really wonderful picture of the space-time, and in which he show that motions within the space-time can be described by some differential equations. That is wonderful. But, at the time, we were not aware of the requirement of consistency, so to speak. For simultaneity. In order to, explain simultaneity, we do need Albert Einstein's theory of relativity, right? But even then, we did not actually, realize that we need some extra, assumptions to explain why the universe is like this. So the Albert Einstein's famous cosmological constant, he thought it was his worst, disaster, failure, mistake that he made during his career. But dark energy and dark matter, these things are required in order to explain why the universe is like this. And so in order for things to be consistent, we need some extra assumptions, and we are still in the journey of this great endeavor to explain things. Like, for example, the stability of macroscopic things, like this, sound machine. Yeah. Newton thought that we can just assume the existence of these macroscopic entities, but we later realized that in order to explain the stability of these things, we need quantum mechanics. So dark energy and dark matter are just two examples where we need something extra to explain how things are like they are today. So if you think of the sheer complexity of, interdependent parameters, so to speak, that makes this universe, isn't it astonishing? And who ordered these and who designed these? I'm not, subscribing to the so-called intelligent design model. This idea of simulation hypothesis, in which some people claim that this whole universe is a simulation, gigantic simulation, created by some artificial intelligence, which was which existed before this universe was born. And this is, we are all in a simulation. This simulation hypothesis. I am not subscribing to these particular ideas. I'm just saying that I feel something is amiss still. Scientific explanation, as they stand today, is not perfect. And of course, and we have the mind-brain program, right? I mean, why and how does the brain activity give rise to our consciousness and this sheer richness of experience? And so I'm not saying that we do need God, concept of God, in the traditional sense. I'm just saying that maybe our worldview still needs some major updating, and there might be some surprises. We never know. The enigma of this universe is much greater than what the current status of scientific models can explain. So I'm just saying that I'm just conveying to you my feeling that we cannot be really, complacent when it comes to a scientific explanation of the universe. At the least, we should not say that we understand everything. Those people who subscribe to atheism sometimes appear that they are confident that we have almost virtually everything. There's no enigma, there's no hole, there's no gap in our worldview. There are many gaps still. So we don't know what is lurking there. I'm not saying that we should, revert to some blind belief in a particular, religious system. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we don't know yet. So there might be surprises. So I think I probably feel much the same way as Albert Einstein did, and there's still mysteries in the universe. And I agree with Albert Einstein when he said that there is something about the concept of God as proposed by Spinoza, which inspires us and nobody knows. So anyway, I'll probably come back to this topic because this is a much bigger topic than can be treated in 12 minutes. So see you around.